Hello! Welcome to Talk Emma Learn English. Here, we learn English by talking, listening, and practicing together.
If you're listening right now, take a small breath, because you're doing something really good for your English today.
Absolutely. And before we jump in, how are you doing today? Emma, quick question for you first. How was your day?
Honestly, a little busy, a little messy, but good. One of those days where you think a lot and then think even more.
One of those days. Mine was calm, actually. I went for a walk in the evening and started thinking about thinking.
Thinking about thinking? That already sounds like today's topic.
Exactly. And before we get into that, friends listening right now, if this podcast helps you even a little, please subscribe and stay with us. We make these episodes to help you feel confident, not confused.
Yes, and if you're someone who understands English but still feels stuck while speaking, today's episode is especially for you.
Very especially.
So, Jack, let me ask you something simple. When you speak English, do you ever feel like your brain is tired?
All the time. Not because English is hard, but because my brain is doing too much work.
Exactly. And that too much work usually comes from one habit.
Translation.
Yes. Thinking in your own language first, translating, and then speaking.
And by the time you speak, the moment is gone.
Or the confidence is gone.
Or both.
So, today's episode is about something very important. How to think in English and stop translating in your head.
This is not magic. This is not talent.
And definitely not about being perfect.
It's about training your brain gently.
Slowly.
Naturally.
Let's start with a small truth. If you're translating in your head, it doesn't mean you're bad at English.
It means you're human.
Every beginner does this.
And even advanced learners do it sometimes.
The problem is not translation itself.
The problem is depending on translation all the time.
Let's imagine a real situation. You're in a shop. The cashier asks you a simple question.
How are you?
And in your head, your brain says, okay, what does that mean in my language?
Then your brain searches for the perfect answer.
Then grammar enters the room.
Then fear enters the room.
And finally, silence. This happens to so many learners.
Because the brain is trying to do 3 jobs at the same time.
Translate.
Translate.
Create a sentence.
That's exhausting.
So, the first step to thinking in English is not speaking more.
It's simplifying your thinking.
Let's talk about how children learn language.
Children don't translate.
They connect words with feelings, actions, and situations.
Children hear hungry, they feel hunger.
They don't translate it.
So we want to rebuild that connection.
Word to meaning to feeling, not word to translation to meaning.
Here's a small exercise for our listeners.
Very small, very easy.
When you hear the word coffee, don't translate it.
Don't translate.
Picture it.
Smell it.
Feel the warmth.
That's thinking in English.
Let's try another one. Late.
Don't translate.
Just feel the stress.
Exactly. Thinking in English starts with images, not sentences.
Now let's talk about inner voice.
That voice in your head that talks all day.
Most people think in their native language automatically.
We're not trying to erase that.
We're adding a second voice.
For example, when you wake up in the morning.
Instead of thinking, Aaj ka din lamba hoga,
Try thinking, it's going to be a long day.
same meaning.
Different habit.
At first, it will feel slow.
A little uncomfortable.
That's normal.
Growth always feels uncomfortable at the beginning.
Let's talk about mistakes.
Oh yes, the fear monster.
Many learners translate because they're afraid of mistakes.
But mistakes are part of thinking in English.
If you think too much, you stop thinking in English.
You start thinking about English.
Big difference.
Thinking in English is messy at first.
Short sentences.
Broken sentences.
Sometimes wrong sentences.
And that's okay.
Because fluency comes from use, not perfection.
Let's share something personal.
Okay.
Okay, when I first started learning another language, I translated everything.
Same here.
And I was slow, very slow. But the day I allowed myself to sound silly,
Things changed.
I stopped translating full sentences.
I started thinking in chunks.
Like, I think, I want to, I don't know.
These chunks help your brain move faster.
So here's a tip for listeners.
Learn ready-made phrases, not grammar rules first.
Phrases like, I feel like, let me see, maybe later.
When you use these daily, your brain starts switching naturally.
Thinking in English is not a switch,
It's a habit,
a daily habit,
and habits need repetition.
not pressure.
Before we go deeper, let's pause for a second.
If you're listening right now and thinking, yes, this is exactly my problem,
You're not alone, and you're not late. You're right on time.
now let's talk about the question everyone asks next.
Yes, but how do I actually stop doing it?
Exactly, because knowing the problem is one thing.
Changing the habit is another.
Let's be honest first. You don't stop translating suddenly.
If someone tells you, from tomorrow think only in English, that's unrealistic.
Very unrealistic.
Your brain has used one language for years.
Sometimes for your whole life.
So we don't fight the brain.
We train it.
Gently.
Let's start with something very simple. Daily inner talk.
This is powerful.
Most people already talk to themselves.
They just don't notice it.
So we don't add extra work.
We just change the language slightly.
For example, imagine you're in the kitchen.
You're making tea or coffee.
Instead of thinking in your language, try short English thoughts like,
I need water. The cup is clean. It's hot.
these are not sentences for exams.
They're thoughts.
And thoughts don't need grammar perfection.
They need speed.
This is how thinking in English starts, not with big conversations.
With small moments.
Let's talk about naming things.
Yes, this helps a lot.
When you see an object, name it in English.
Not out loud if you feel shy.
In your head is fine.
Chair, window, phone, shoes.
You're building direct connections, object to English word.
No translation bridge in the middle.
Now let's move to feelings,
This is where learners struggle.
because feelings are deep.
And language feels personal.
But start small.
Instead of thinking long, emotional sentences,
Use simple feeling words.
tired, happy, annoyed, excited.
For example, you finish a long day.
Don't translate a full sentence.
Just think, I'm tired.
Your brain understands.
Now, here's a common mistake.
Learners wait for perfect English to think in English.
But perfect English comes after thinking practice.
Not before.
Let's talk about thinking speed.
When you translate, your speed is slow,
When you think directly, your speed increases.
but only if you allow mistakes.
Mistakes are not enemies.
They are signs of movement.
Now imagine a real conversation.
Someone asks you, what did you do yesterday?
If you translate first, your brain says, yesterday, what did I do, how to say.
But if you think in English, you might think, yesterday, work, tired, home.
And then you speak, I worked yesterday and came home tired.
Simple, natural.
Not perfect grammar, but clear meaning.
That's communication.
Now let's talk about thinking in chunks, not words.
This is very important.
Native speakers don't think word by word.
They think in ready pieces.
Like, I think, I feel like, I'm not sure.
If you learn these chunks, your brain relaxes.
Because it doesn't need to build sentences from zero.
So here's a habit.
Every week, choose 3 useful chunks.
Use them in your thoughts.
For example, I think it's good. I think I need rest. I think it will rain.
Slowly, these become automatic.
Now, let's talk about listening again.
Because thinking and listening are connected.
When you listen to English,
Don't translate everything.
that's impossible anyway.
Instead, catch key words.
Feel the situation.
Understand the emotion.
If you understand 60 to 70%, that's enough.
Your brain fills the rest.
Many learners pause podcasts to translate.
That breaks flow.
Try listening without stopping sometimes.
Let your brain swim, not walk.
Nice metaphor.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about self-pressure.
This kills thinking in English.
When you think, I must speak perfectly, your brain freezes.
So change the rule.
New rule. I just need to be understood.
That rule is friendly.
And realistic.
Now, here's something fun.
Talk to yourself in English when no one is around.
In the shower, while walking, while cooking.
Say what you are doing.
I'm cutting vegetables. This smells good. I should hurry.
At first, it feels strange.
Then it feels normal.
Then it feels helpful.
Now let's talk about thinking without fear of accent.
Accents don't matter in your head.
Exactly.
You don't need pronunciation perfection to think.
Thinking is private.
Use that freedom.
This is your safe practice space.
Before we move forward, let's be honest again.
Yes, everyone asks this.
Thinking in English won't be full-time at first.
Your brain will switch back and forth.
That's okay.
Even bilingual people do that.
Progress is not only English.
Progress is more English than yesterday.
Beautifully said. In the next part, we'll talk about real-life speaking situations.
Phone calls, small talk, unexpected questions.
And how thinking in English helps you stay calm.
That's where real confidence grows.
So, take a breath.
You're doing better than you think.
And your brain is learning, even when you don't notice. Now comes the hardest question.
Yes, everyone asks this.
How do I actually start thinking in English?
Exactly. People understand the idea, but they don't know how to practice it in real life.
And honestly, this is where most learners get stuck.
They know vocabulary, they know grammar, but their brain still runs in their first language.
Because their brain learned English the school way. Translate, check, speak.
And real English doesn't work like that.
Not at all. Real English is fast, emotional, automatic.
So today in this part, we're going to talk about practical ways to train your brain to think in English.
Not theory, not heavy rules.
Just daily habits that normal people can actually follow.
And yes, some of them will feel strange at first.
Very strange, but they work.
Let's start with something simple.
Talking to yourself.
Ah, yes, the thing everyone does secretly but never talks about.
Exactly. People think talking to yourself is weird.
But it's actually one of the best ways to think in English.
Because when you talk to yourself, there's no pressure,
No listener,
no judgment.
no fear of mistakes.
For example, you wake up in the morning.
Instead of thinking in your language, you try this. Okay, I need to get up now. I feel sleepy. I should drink some water.
Very simple thoughts.
Not perfect grammar, just real thoughts.
And the key rule here is very important.
Don't translate.
If a word doesn't come, don't stop.
Use a simple word instead.
For example, if you don't know exhausted,
Just say very tired.
thinking in English is not about fancy words.
It's about flow.
Exactly.
Another powerful habit is naming things around you.
Oh yes, this one is great for beginners.
You're sitting in your room.
Look around and think.
Chair, table, window, light is on. The room is quiet.
This sounds childish.
But this is how children learn language,
They connect words directly to reality.
not through translation.
And slowly, your brain starts thinking in English automatically.
Now let's talk about a very common mistake.
Thinking full sentences only.
Yes, people believe thinking in English means full grammar sentences all the time.
But that's not how the brain works.
Native speakers don't think in full sentences either.
They think in fragments.
Ideas, images, feelings.
For example,
If you're late, you think, traffic again. Not good. Boss will be angry.
not, I am currently experiencing traffic congestion, which may cause problems.
Exactly. So give yourself permission to think simply.
Simple English is powerful English.
Now let's talk about emotions. because emotions help thinking.
Yes, emotion connects language to memory.
When you feel happy, angry, excited, tired.
Name that feeling in English.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I feel calm.
Even better, add a reason.
I'm nervous because I have a meeting.
This trains your brain to connect life with English.
Another strong habit is thinking before speaking.
Many learners panic and speak fast.
But thinking in English means slowing down first.
Before you answer, take 1 second.
And think in English, not your language.
Even one short phrase is enough.
For example, someone asks you, "How was your day?"
Instead of translating,
Think busy, long, but okay.
then speak.
That pause is powerful.
Now let's talk about listening.
Yes, listening changes thinking.
If you listen to English daily, your brain starts copying patterns.
That's why podcasts are so helpful.
You don't just learn words,
You learn how thoughts are formed.
how ideas flow.
But here's an important rule.
Don't translate while listening.
If you don't understand everything, it's okay.
Focus on feeling the message.
Tone, emotion, context.
Your brain will slowly adjust.
Now let's talk about inner voice.
Ah, the voice inside your head.
Change its language.
Even for small things.
For example, when you make a mistake,
Instead of thinking negatively in your language,
try, "It's okay. I'm learning. I'll try again."
this builds confidence too.
Thinking in English is not only language training.
It's mindset training.
Exactly.
And one more very important habit.
Thinking in situations.
Yes,
Imagine situations in your mind.
you're at a cafe.
What do you think?
I want coffee. No sugar. Sit there.
You're at work.
Need to finish this. Send email. Meeting soon.
This kind of thinking is real English.
And very practical.
If you do this daily, something interesting happens.
You stop translating without noticing.
English starts coming naturally.
And confidence increases.
So if you feel slow right now, don't worry.
Slow is normal.
Silence is part of learning.
Thinking takes time.
And in the next part,
We'll talk about mistakes, fear, and confidence.
and how to stay consistent without stress.
Because thinking in English should feel natural, not painful.
We've talked about habits, practice, listening, and inner voice. But there's one thing we haven't faced directly yet.
Fear.
Yes, the fear that stops people from thinking in English.
Fear of being wrong.
Fear of sounding stupid.
Fear of pauses.
And fear of silence.
This fear is powerful.
And very normal.
Almost every English learner feels it.
The problem is, fear pushes people back to translation.
Because translation feels safe.
Your first language feels like home.
English feels like a guest room.
Uncomfortable at first.
But here's the truth learners need to hear.
You don't stop translating by force.
You stop translating by trust.
Trusting that simple English is enough.
Trusting that mistakes won't break you.
Trusting that people understand more than you think.
Let's talk about mistakes for a moment.
Yes, because learners hate mistakes.
But mistakes are part of thinking.
Even in your own language, you don't think perfectly.
You stop mid-thought.
You change words.
You repeat yourself.
So why expect perfection in English?
That expectation creates pressure.
And pressure kills thinking.
Thinking in English needs space.
Calm space.
Mental space.
That's why confidence matters more than grammar.
Confidence allows your brain to relax.
And a relaxed brain learns faster.
Here's a simple rule learners can follow.
If your message is clear, it's good English.
Even if grammar is not perfect.
Now let's talk about real conversations.
Because that's where thinking in English really shows.
In real conversations, you don't have time to translate.
So what should learners do?
Prepare thoughts, not sentences.
That's important.
For example, common questions.
How was your day?
Don't prepare a full answer.
Prepare ideas.
Busy, long, but okay.
Then speak.
My day was busy but productive.
That's thinking, not translating.
Another example.
What are you doing this weekend?
Think first. Family, rest, movie.
Then speak.
I'll spend time with family and relax.
This is how English lives in your brain, not as rules.
But as meaning.
Now let's talk about something emotional.
Comparing yourself to others.
Ah, yes.
Learners hear fluent speakers and feel small.
They think, I'll never sound like that.
But they forget one thing.
Those speakers were beginners once too.
They struggled.
They translated.
They paused.
They made mistakes.
Thinking in English is a journey.
Not a switch.
Some days you'll think better.
Some days your brain will feel slow.
That's normal.
Progress is not straight.
Now let's give listeners a simple daily routine.
Yes, something practical.
Morning.
Think simple thoughts in English.
I need coffee. It's cold today.
During the day.
Name actions.
Working. Waiting. Feeling tired.
Evening. Reflect. What went well today? What was hard?
All in simple English.
No dictionary in your head.
No translation.
Just meaning.
And one more powerful thing.
Celebrate small wins.
Yes,
If you thought one full sentence in English today,
that's a win.
if you answered without translating,
That's progress.
if you felt less fear,
That's growth.
thinking in English is not about speed.
It's about comfort.
Comfort leads to confidence,
Confidence leads to fluency.
and fluency leads to freedom.
Freedom to express yourself.
Freedom to connect with people.
Freedom to be yourself in another language.
And before we end, we want to say this.
Be patient with yourself.
You're not late,
You're learning.
and learning takes time.
If this episode helped you even a little,
If it made English feel less scary,
please subscribe to Easy English Podcast.
we're here to practice with you.
Every step, every mistake, every small success.
And remember, you don't need perfect English.
You just need English that lives in your mind.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Keep thinking, keep trying, and keep going.
Bye, everyone!